bana eri otalirimu ono talina sasi muchemba oli yabadde n'olugezigezi ono adatadde sasi muchemba naye igwe owonye tokuba jirekere ojeria eria jireke zitwale eri muzitwale eri mutulumbe kutakalia fe eria soko zireke muzitwale eri baje wano hey come here
very delicate situation and an unfortunate incident there as civilians disarmed armed soldiers. My name is Tim Apollo and I take the pleasure to introduce Comrade Rugarama. He's Dr. Daniel Rugarama, the chairman of the Pan-African Movement. Welcome to the dialogue. Speak to our viewers.
Thank you so much, brother. It's about 5 weeks now, I think. I've been missing this beautiful audience of the dialogue at Sort TV, but I've been following.
Wow.
That's what gives me courage.
Yep.
And I'm happy that you have been holding it very well. I have watched the video.
Yep.
I saw it even before here. And I want to believe that there's quite a lot of talking points. I have also looked at the areas which you forwarded that we are going to discuss today. I don't know where you want me to start.
I want you to speak about the civil-military relations in this country. We have been used to a relationship where civilians easily interact with the armed soldiers, and they live freely. They live together along happily. But when it comes to this level, when civilians can disarm soldiers, I don't know how you can describe what you saw in the video and what consequences it holds.
The history of African armies is that majority of it was actually inherited from the colonial masters. Basically, the structure of African governments, civil service, police, the army, is in a majority of the cases a creation of our former masters. And in the case of Uganda, the history is such that we have had probably what one would describe as one of the most turbulent of the leaderships, especially during Amin's time. And even then, because to those, even me, I think I was still very young during Amin's time, but history abounds that it was punctuated with a lot of altercation, acrimonious relationship between the soldiers and the civilians. Now, the civil-military relations, therefore, even a little bit back, were not that good. And there was a crowd of fear that was created around the soldier. And probably in some respect, that would not have been bad because armed people, there is a way they are supposed to be highly trained and restrained. Because you even see circumstances where armed people who are not necessarily soldiers who come and interact with the public. Any slight provocation, we have had stories. You people in the media, you have been covering these things. Now, during when the NRM, NRA was still in the bush, stories are told. You remember the famous story of the one man who shot a civilian, and then General Ertumwine, General Jim was the lawyer then in the bush, and the Army Council, if you can call it that, sat and they were trying him. The NRA created, now UPDF, right in the bush, created a very wonderful military civil relations that it was very easy for the general public to interact with even the rebels. And the soldiers at that time who were rebels then were also, they inculcated a spirit in them of high respect to the people they were fighting for. So that background of excellent civil military relations right from the bush was translated into the subsequent government. That from 1986 onwards, as we professionalized the army, the interaction between the army and the general public has been excellent.
Okay.
Certainly, you cannot say that there haven't been some incidences, isolated incidences. An irritated soldier goes back to the barracks. He has been disappointed by the happy girl in the bar and kills the people who are feeling the atmosphere at that time. Those incidences have been, but again, we must look at what has therefore happened to such soldiers when they do such things. Now, we reached a level therefore to what we are seeing now in what you have just played on the screens, that the general public, even those without the military background, are so much comfortable that they can even try
To disarm an armed soldier.
A soldier. I have not dug deep to know as to whether those soldiers, because we must know the mandate of UPDF. UPDF to protect the lives and the property of the people. Now,
no, the territorial boundaries and integrated territorial integrity.
We have got installations by the way, because we don't know. That land probably is an installation, government installation. We know that we have got special forces protecting the oil wells in Kabare, the airport, the what. Who knows? There are some special areas where UPDF is sent to protect, not necessarily police.
Okay.
But the point I'm making is that we have created, there is an atmosphere now that the general public sometimes goes overboard.
Okay.
Because this particular incident, it could be that, for instance, by the way, the soldiers there and the people who deployed them, it is possible they were deployed in error or deliberately, but when they were not supposed to be there. But again, what would be the correct way of approaching a situation?
Exactly.
In my opinion, this is not the correct way.
This is not the correct way. I agree, and we all agree that that is a real concern when civilians start disarming soldiers.
And you must applaud the UPDF, because you saw how they conducted themselves.
But then if you applaud the UPDF...
No, these particular soldiers now here, the ones who were in this situation, you see, they are armed.
Yes.
Absolutely. And they could do anything.
But they demonstrated restraint.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, let me hear from the Honorable Stephen Mugole, the MP for Kabweri County. I am pleased to have you on the show. You will straight away speak to our viewers and go on to analyze a video we played I am sure it was captured from Kayunga district. There was a land roll, and the soldiers who were at that particular time in the vicinity went into a scuffle with civilians. You see a civilian flogging a soldier. They were even flogged before they were disarmed. If that, okay, as we watch the video, let's come back and introduce Honorable Stephen. I'm happy to have you on the show again. Speak to our viewers.
Thank you very much. Our hosts and the viewers, I'm happy to be here again. I'm a little late because I have an ailing father who is in Mulago, but it is good to notify my Kabwere people because he was brought while on oxygen, and everybody supposedly thought he had passed on. Mzee Engineer Mauku is still around. He is off the oxygen. We hope he may be okay, on and off, but continue praying for him because he's aged. I want to comfort the people that he's still alive. If he wasn't, I would not be on on TV now.
Straight to the video. What do you make from that video and the incidents that played out?
Two things. Whether the person who was flogging the UPDF was really a civilian. You may not, every military person is not in military attire all the time. You never know, maybe he was a military person, but on a civilian.
Okay.
Because I saw the level of braveness. How do you go and attack someone who is armed, and for you are not armed and you are, and they are calm? If he was merely a civilian and trying to do so, and if these officers had the mandate to be there by the powers that be, then they would have put him to order with the minimum force, not to continue that way. But I applaud them.
Are you saying the soldiers would have acted in a different way from how they are?
Yeah, because the soldier is not supposed to use only the gun. The soldier has very many ways he can restrain you.
But this was a mob.
Mob justice.
They were acting against a mob.
They were calling for Chibiliti to ban the...
To ban? No, they are then not. I think I've just viewed the video here. If it was a mob, then the soldiers were right to restrain themselves from reacting. Because if you react against a mob, two things are going to happen. You are going to either kill many because you have a gun, for fear of your life, or you'll certainly be killed. So their restraint helped in that situation. However, it is sometimes going too far as a civilian to do such. Because civilians also, you can restrain soldiers if you're in a mob from doing something, but by not physically beating or touching an officer.
But Honorable, we are aware of what the law says. The UPDF Act of 2005 talks about a soldier who, a soldier who loses either a gun or military equipment. The penalties and the repercussions are really tough, and we don't know what will happen to these behaved soldiers, but let's think about the civil-military relations now. If the soldiers can act in the way they acted, won't that in future encourage even other civilians to attack? And even not only civilians, but even people who have who are either have who are either rebels or will have now gained the courage to even attack armed soldiers?
The civil-military relations in Uganda is a history. You remember at one time, whenever you could see a military officer on the street, it meant running away from him or her. Today, that's not the case, because a culture was inculcated into the soldiers, the NRA, from the bush, where they could even be put on firing squad if you have done something peculiar. So this, and when they came as combatants, they came as revolutionaries, they came as people who have really unveiled the curtain that a soldier is a normal human being like any other person, and we can stay together. And that humility the soldiers had and continue to have can be misconstrued by the civilians to think that the soldiers will act like that all the time. It's not correct. You know, Ugandan army, the UPDF, stands tall in Africa here as being, first of all, disciplined, but also as an army which is so strong. Its infantry is almost compared to none in Africa. And it's not that they are not capable, but even in law, there are amends you make. If you find a situation that may cause death to very many people, if I release that gun to you, obviously that was a mob. There is no way that gun can get lost, whereas it is punishable for you as an officer to lose a gun, but this is a gun not being lost, but which is being taken away for purposes of saving the situation. So that gun cannot get lost.
Maybe information, Honorable.
Yes.
In the video, you see that the highest ranked personnel there is actually a sergeant. Now, if a sergeant and probably a private can have the humility and the ability to contain a situation, they don't have these liberties. I want to give real. Then it tells much about the kind of army
that's one of the low-ranking soldiers you're talking about.
Yeah, that's a private.
And there were very many. The one who was coming kind of to mediate was actually the sergeant, and he was calling them down. You see,
I think that is the one.
Absolutely. So it tells you that even at that level, the culture you are talking about, the siyasa has been that good that even the low-ranked soldiers are able to maintain very good relations.
Look at that scuffle.
Exactly.
Anything could have happened at that point in time.
Quiet. You had
because
the words, the strategic words. Carry on. Thank you.
So the military officer was trying to resist the gun not to go away. And you can see that all these are non-commissioned officers. They are below rank of sergeant. There are certain commands you cannot make at that level. And this is a land wrangle.
Yeah, true.
Where maybe the UPDF officers could have been deployed, but not with a court order or whatever, because you must understand what situation is going on. And but what I believe is that the guns will be recovered, because the people who could have removed the guns from them are now known. They are seen on video.
They didn't leave.
They didn't even.
Didn't. There's no way.
No way.
Soldiers could have left behind them.
Okay, let's come back to the studio. I think we wind up on this particular matter. Going forward, do you think, Honorable, these and other incidents have consequences, and what could be those consequences?
The incidences like this?
Yes. The conduct of civilians, the behavior of the military, both of them, do you think there are consequences?
Because Uganda, we use the rule of law, like what happened there, behind the veil, we have to understand how the deployment was.
No,
but somebody
the consequences,
somebody who is
I'm sorry to
disarming.
interject. The consequences I'm talking about is, can in future this behavior escalate?
Yeah, that's what I was building. I don't want to answer a question directly.
All right.
That, considering what came out, the part of the consequence is that because we use our rule of law, a person like that who disarms an officer, even if the officer has agreed, that person is apprehendable.
Yeah.
That person is apprehendable. And if this escalates,
Yep.
it can again breed back the civil-military relations that were sour during those times.
Oh, yeah.
What we should do, because this is a matter of national importance, we are even going to bring it on the floor of Parliament, so that the Minister for Security and that of Internal Affairs come up with a way, technically, they are going to handle this situation so that it doesn't escalate. Because this is just an eye-opener. We need to stop it, Because again, we don't want the civil-military relations to sour.
Exactly.
Because the relationship currently is good. You can even see if there is either riot, either in the market, or the time the civilians see the red tops,
Yep.
they will all behave. They would rather behave with any other type of security, but not with the military.
Yes.
So they first of all have respect for them, and also know that while they are there, the situation will cool. And to mean that they are also ruthless. If you tamper with them, you can have consequences.
But that is the ruthlessness that was not expressed in this particular incident,
Yeah.
which in any way actually saved the day. There could have
Yes,
been
the
bloodshed.
ruthlessness I'm meaning is coming to quell a riot. If there was a military a camp to come and quell that, they would have not allowed such a thing. But these were the people who were embroiled into that action. And instead of reacting negatively, they acted positively.
Thank you. Finally from you, Doctor.
The truth of the matter is that, one, like I have already stated, I applaud the soldiers, these particular soldiers in this video. And the Honorable was also noting, we surely, up to now, I don't know if you, the media people, have discovered as to what necessitated the deployment. Because if it was a government decision...
No, from what we picked,
Because there was a
the soldiers were not deployed at that particular area. They were in the neighborhood. That is what was reported from UPDF. That they had they had a scuffle somewhere. I mean, in the neighborhood. Then they came. And that's what was reported. They came to see what is happening here in the neighborhood, and they were caught
into that scuffle.
But the good thing is that
because the other party suspected that the soldiers are also part of the problem.
so it was confusion. Just okay, fine. That
Mistaken identity.
That can be put right. I hope it has been already. But nevertheless, it is risky.
Yes.
So you have to make just three statements. One, it is risky to engage in the fashion in which these people in the video are engaging the armed personnel, especially the UPDF. Two, it is on record that this UPDF is a highly disciplined outfit, and its ability to resist and engage is not in dispute. Both internally here, forget about these isolated cases here and there, the tourists die, which was very unfortunate. And you know, here the bombs go off left and right, and your America, which is giving advisories, also gives alerts. I don't know why you give an alert on TV when we have got working relations. Anyway, that's another thing when we go to that advisory stuff. So, and maybe finally also to note that we have got MPs who are soldiers in this parliament. Honorable is here, and I think that part of why they are there is to keep the relations between the civil, I mean the wananchi and the army, so that we don't create that disconnect.
Yeah, true.
Yes, so I want to believe that we should leverage on their presence to make it look harmonious the way it has been.
All right. Thank you so much, Honorable Stephen Mkore and Comrade Daniel Garama for that insight. And we brought up this issue because a lot is at risk. One, in that particular incident, lives could have been easily lost in that scuffle between civilians and soldiers. But two, not only lives would be lost, but even the image of the UPDF was at stake.
Yeah.
That if anything happened, possibly it could have escalated into a series of other events that we do not know if we would have, if they would have been handled in any way better. And I take the pressure at this particular point in time to introduce to you the Secretary General for the Opposition Justice Forum, commonly known as JEMA, Haji Muhammad Katerega. I'm pleased to have you on the dialogue. Quickly speak to our viewers, and you speak about a viral video that has been going around showing civilians disarming soldiers of UPDF. And in those few minutes, you tell us, what do you make of the civil-military relationship or relations in Uganda? Please do.
Thank you for inviting me here. My name is Katerega Muhammad, Secretary General Justice Forum. I greet you all. I have watched this video and I was a bit disappointed because the UPDF is not supposed to involve itself in such activities.
Yeah, true. In land issues.
The land issues. Amoya Police has a land department which do be dealing with such incidents. But when you see UPDF going into that, you realize the problem we are in as a country. So I would urge the UPDF leadership to restrain our colleagues, our soldiers from doing such, because it creates bad relationship between the civilians and the army, and the army must be there to protect every Ugandan.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
What about the courage? Can you talk about the courage in civilians disarming armed soldiers? Isn't that a risky situation?
They went into a risky venture. But when you listen very carefully, you realize that some of those who attempted to disarm the soldiers were not really civilians.
Oh.
They were army men in civilian clothes.
Oh.
Yeah, because I had them talking about General Saleh and others, and they said, one of them said that if you think that we are mere civilians, then we are going to teach you a lesson. So that to me showed that those guys were not civilians.
They are not just civilians.
They had ever served in the army or police. Yes. They knew what they were doing.
They knew what they were doing, but
Yes.
the risk was inevitable.
The risk was high because one, it could have people could have lost their lives,
Yeah, true.
and the army would have come in full swing and cause more chaos, and in return, government or UPDF would be viewed in bad in bad picture.
Finally, from you, what do you think? Does this behavior anyway has future consequences, that possibly that behavior may breed a culture of either intolerance with the military now starting to look at civilians as a hostile population, and possibly employ violent methods of handling civilians? What do you make?
My thinking is that if, you know, military is one of the institutions which has a unique discipline. And if the leadership of the military comes in, I want to convince myself that such occurrence will not happen again. Because soldiers are known to be following command. And those guys who are on the ground must have been misled by some of their commanders.
Oh, yeah. One minute and we conclude, Honorable.
Yeah, just like I had alluded to, if I had prior information that these people who came in were not deployed there, but they had been deployed in the neighborhood, they just responded to the noise and were just coming to look at what is there. And as a military person or somebody who is a security person, he is obliged to quell down any unnecessary noise. And I think that is the reason as to why they even accepted being disarmed, because first of all, they were not for that case. Two, they are not supposed to be
disarmed
deployed.
by who?
Yeah,
because
you have heard.
I
didn't hear that.
I don't think.
I didn't hear that.
I don't think there were introductions that we who are either going to disarm you, we are we are superiors to you.
But you must credit those guys.
Yes.
Because they had the guns.
Yes.
They don't use it.
They didn't use it. That's what I'm just trying to conclude. You see, I'm trying to drive a point home as we conclude this, is that what they were engaged in. If you are in a struggle of yourself, it is different from being embroiled as a victim of circumstance. So as they were, I think, trying to explain to the so-called military, in quotes, also on the other side, because I told you already, it is very difficult for a civilian to engage that way, to the extent of even beating an army officer. I told you from the onset that were these people dressed in civilian but really military in nature. So the action thing, like I've said, this is a matter. I had not seen this video, but we sit with the UPDF in Parliament.
Yeah, true.
We have the Minister of Security, we have the Minister of Internal Affairs. This is a matter that is going to come up as a matter of national importance, so that we call down and stop any such unnecessary clashes between civilians and the military.
Thank you so much, our viewers. You can be part of this debate in the studio by sending your message on our WhatsApp platform, or you can even use our usual short messaging system, SMS. Send your comments, send your observations on the topics that we are actually discussing in the studios. And I will quickly, in these 3-4 minutes, ask Dr. Rugarama about the reports around cash for marks. That has been always a practice. During examination season, you hear of these reports emerging. Even the Uganda National Examination Board acknowledges that this malpractice is continuous and actually increasing. In just 1-2 minutes before we go to a break, how can we work out this and avoid this situation?
I have had the opportunity, and I thank God for it, to have taught at secondary level. I've also taught at university level, and probably I will go back and teach. I've been a student, and probably I'm still a student. It is unfortunate that we seem to have pockets of lazy students and very questionable teachers.
Lecturers.
Teachers at lower levels, even at university. There are some information that has come up, you have seen, where lecturers have been dismissed, others on suspension, because of the love affair relations with their students.
Sex for marks.
That one is also as a consequence of poor parenting at home. We have problems as a family unit that the children are not well brought up. What they interact with, what they expose themselves to, and the parents are not there to guide them. So as a consequence, when you transit them to universities, even at the level of secondary, Ntare, my senior brother and friend,
Ntare school.
yes, Samuel Wampororo, the headmaster, dismissed the entire senior six. Well, we know the headmaster is just a secretary to the board, so it is not him who dismisses. He communicates on behalf of the board, and that's what people may get wrong, by the way. The headmaster has dismissed. No, the headmaster works on the orders of the board.
Yeah, true.
Why did the entire senior six get dismissed? Because
No, they had rioted, I think.
they came with phones. The phone. Don't they know the rules? But we have parents who, unfortunately, support that a student should come in with a smartphone when they clearly know and they signed that should not be the case. So finally, on that, I think there has to be a comprehensive program from Ministry of Education with the stakeholders. It is work in progress.
Thank you so much. And as we go for a break, we'll return to that particular topic, which I think is very important, because if we have people in the workforce who paid cash for grades in universities and institutions of learning, we will definitely have one, poor workmanship on the job, but also we'll have people who are actually nurtured thieves, because they thrive on stealing and cheating. Let's go for a break. When we return, we'll handle this issue, but again, we'll also look at the US government issuing a business advisory for Uganda. What does that mean? Let's go for a break. We'll return. This is The Dialogue. Welcome from the break. This is The Dialogue. My name is Sima Polo. In the studios, we have Dr. Daniel Rugarama, the chairman of the Pan-African Movement. We have Honorable Stephen Mugore, the member of parliament for Kabweri County. And we have the Secretary General for the Justice Forum. We know it as JEMA, the opposition party in this country, looking at the big stories in the week. And we've looked at that viral video in which civilians disarmed soldiers. We've also partly tackled the issue of exam malpractice in this country, which has become actually rampant following reports that came out this week indicating that top universities in this country, Makerere University, Chambogo University, have also been implicated in the cash for marks scandal. It is really, really unfortunate that we still have people who think that they can go through, life cheating. And the concern is what we inculcate into these students, even at a tender age, that they can cheat their way in life. And what actually will happen when these people go into offices of influence? If they cheat their way through the journey, what will happen? Possibly that is why we have corruption becoming endemic in this country. Let me go straight to Honorable Stephen. Talk about exam malpractice in this country. And anyway, if I may ask you, Honorable, are we giving this issue the concern the attention it deserves?
I suppose no. I don't think that we've given this issue the attention it deserves. Because this is just like a moral decay. The practice of people cheating exams, okay, didn't start today, and is always there in the minds of those who are not well grounded doing exams. The disseminator here is when the educations of this country would perpetuate such a situation. Because I cannot put it on parents, I'm sure this is a system within the students and the schools. But it all started with this privatization of the educational institutions. So people were fighting for supremacy. My school has been the best and whatever. And that is how headmasters, let me say, people, heads of institutions, who are necessarily not educationists, because not every owner of a private school or so is an educationist. Majorly people are just businessmen to make money. So he knows once my school prospers, and the school prospers by candidates passing exams. That's majorly how the schools prosper. So he will fight his way, try to
get better grades.
Get better grades, either by bribing, trying all ways so that his school tomorrow. Because most of these are not educationists. What we should do, I remember in those olden days when David Ongom was the executive secretary for UNEB, and when majorly all schools were government, you could hardly hear of any examination malpractices. Yeah, but now the culture that has been inculcated into somebody of even in nursery, that after nursery you graduate, you go to PLE, you must and putting marks and whatever in the newspapers, in the media, this has brought up a culture which would be good of competition, which would be good, but also for people to compete but unfavorably by buying their way out. So by the time the students reach even university, he has cheated almost all the way through. So he reaches there, he's also influencing. That's why we have had the sex for marks.
Yeah, true.
But now this is cash.
Because they know their abilities cannot facilitate them to succeed in examinations.
Many things. And that's why we are getting half-baked graduates these days. I have one of, my daughter. Somebody is at university, but it's not going on at the university, it's just online. But the university is in Uganda here, just online. When such a person is doing exams, he's bound to cheat because all the papers are around. At least you say online, but let exams be done in a classroom.
Yeah, true.
So that you supervise. So you are seeing even the quality of people we are going to produce are not that quality that were produced.
Honorable, let's look at where it starts from. You've indicated that school administrators are pushed for the hunger to get better grades. But I think these examination papers leak straight from UNEB.
Yeah, that's
so. Isn't UNEB culpable?
Highly culpable.
In this particular
highly culpable. I remember.
Why can't they maintain an airtight system?
I remember during those days, exams would be dropped at Crescent Towers in a helicopter. I mean, the examination papers. Then they are distributed. They were not being printed in Uganda here. They were printed outside the country. All that was to limit the leakage.
Yeah.
Just like you print ballot papers outside this country sometimes and bring them, but it's quite expensive. All we need is, I think we need a team of educationists who are patriotic really, to come and be put together by the Ministry of Education to ensure that these cartels are broken.
Anyway, you are right.
The cartels
because
are
even
broken.
the money that is not printed in Uganda
Yeah.
is also, I mean, they are fake.
Yes,
People
yes,
who
yeah, and it
who
saturates.
come out with
So
fake.
it needs, because this is a very serious matter. We are regarded as the best, even if I go to English alone, I'm the best English speakers in Africa. We are doing a good job in the education sector, yes. So once we see something that can cause a hullabaloo in that sector, we should not keep quiet.
Thank you.
Again, this is another area. I think I'm happy that I'm always here. All the issues we raise here,
Yeah.
I raise to the committee
Exactly.
that is responsible.
Thank you.
I'm going to raise this to the Committee of Education in the Parliament, that this is an area which needs investigation.
Exactly.
A report should come on the floor of Parliament so that at least a committee of experts who are educationists can come up with the ways of how this vice should be fought. But lastly,
Finally.
if exams of universities were also universal
Standardization.
and
in
standardized,
Cameroon.
not like, because even if there are some leakages in UNEB, they are really to a very limited extent. But where one lecturer is in charge of his exam, I thought if this is a course unit, let it be standardized.
Oh, yeah.
Let the examination be like this is UNEB, Uganda National Examination Board, whether we create Uganda University Examination Board, so that all those course units are handled centrally. One, it will bring out people of quality. Two, of the same knowledge, but you are doing the same course unit, this one is doing the other, this is doing the other. I think that would also quell down on the issue of examination malpractices, not leaving the examination in the hand of the beholder.
Anyway, I pick your observation, but I even where we have UNEB handling UCE, Uganda Certificate of Education, and UPE, again they are leaked. These
But they are
examination
minimal
papers are
and
leaked,
simpler to
and I
control.
think it comes from the people the people who go to set exams. They are picked from different education institutions. They go and sit and set. From there, I think there is the leakages are
The
what
leakage begin there from
begins.
the examination bank, because he knows I have set this. These are the things I've set.
People just make proposals.
Yeah.
See, we have got people who are known
Yes.
at UNEP. But this one is marks when it is time for marking. Now those ones are required also to propose questions. Now from the questions that are proposed from across the board, there is a committee that sits and, but they don't even set one, do one set.
Yeah.
If it is physics,
There are three
you
sets.
find that
Oh.
they have about 4 sets.
Okay, they can
and
pick
you will
any.
not know
You
which
never
one,
know.
they are going to give.
Thank you. And Haji Katerega, tell us what you think about this, and actually the consequences. Me, I'm just concerned about the consequences of this practice, because it has been here for very many years. It has been happening under the watchful eye of UNEB, the Ministry of Education, and all other stakeholders.
One, we are dealing with a corrupt society. And this is one of the major problems we have in this country. Corruption begins from primary one. And all stakeholders are involved in this, the parents, the teachers. Teachers now, they are after getting what to eat, getting money. That's why it is very easy to cheat in exams, because the supervisor, the
Invigilators, exam
scouts are all hungry. They value money more than the job, more than what they give to our students. In the university, we used to have external examiners. And if they are still there, I think they are no longer doing their work. Because all these universities, be it government university, private university, they have all become commercial.
Yes.
And And this has given an opportunity for those who want to make quick money to do whatever they want to do. So I think government must come in and arrest the situation. Otherwise,
Government has always been in.
government
The Minister of Education is
has,
in
I
charge.
think, given a lip service to this. They have not concentrated, because part of the sector, they have given it to the private sector, private players. So sometimes it makes the government efforts very difficult to reach on the root cause. But as Ugandans, we must reflect where we want our country to be in the next few years. We have already seen quack doctors, people who have gone through universities, but
Buildings
they
are
cannot.
collapsing
Yes. So,
because of.
and I think government should come in and take back the responsibility and ensure that there is monitoring, strict monitoring in institutions, right from P1 to right from primary to university.
Thank you so much, and there are very many concerns in this whole thing. Even universities are going to lose integrity, the integrity of these top universities, because if Makerere, Chambogo, and other top universities are being implicated in exam malpractices, I think even the rankings will be affected.
No, you see,
will drop.
Comrade Aporo and our dear viewers, when it comes to education, I'm very, very passionate about this. My father knows this, and I hope he's watching. And many other people I have interacted with. Like I told you, I've had opportunity to teach in more than 3 universities here in this country. And at the same time, teach in secondary schools. I'm still a student, because me, I never consider myself, I'm an everyday student of global affairs. I applaud the government of the Republic of Uganda that we have now revised the curriculum. Because that was another problem. You see, we are here complaining about the education. We are saying there is malpractice here and there. But what has been the curriculum like? Now, the Uganda Curriculum Development Center has come up with a student-focused, or student-centered curriculum. Not this one of cramming, and within 2 hours and 30 minutes, you have reproduced or not reproduced, and your future is determined there. So I thank them for that. But even the poor system that we have had, the poor curriculum that we have had, which has generally not been student-centered, I hate to see somebody attempting to corrupt it.
Okay.
Why? Because, like Honorable here was saying, their time, they may not have been exposed to the best of the curriculums. Maybe probably all of us went through the same. But you see, even the poor that you have, you must guard it very jealously.
True.
I want to finally say on this, that what gives me a bit of comfort is that we have people whom I have high regard for in the ministry.
Okay.
Particularly when you look at Dr. J.C. Muyingo. He was my head teacher along with Kafumbe.
Is the minister in charge of higher education?
Yes.
Education.
These are the kind of brains really there. You look at Nagarama, that was St. Joseph's Nagarama then, when we were there. Then he comes to Namugongo here.
Okay.
You see, his record speaks for itself.
So you hope this
I
will
hope
soon change?
Yes. It will. Of course, we have got a lot to work on because we have got a very big problem with our public service. The public service, by the way, is highly infested. Let me conclude by making a statement. And this should go on record. That we have civil service. Civil service, by the way, is not the same as public service. But anyhow, for purposes of this statement, let me say, we have a civil service who spend more than 60% of their time trying to undermine each other than concentrate on how to deliver for the good of the society.
Oh, so it is.
The
It is.
amount of intrigue in the government workers
So it
and the
is.
infightings
It
is a replica of what the education system has produced. If the education system was such that it is producing patriotic, Pan-African, result-oriented cadres, there would be nothing like infightings. They would be result-oriented, but this time it is all about, have I brought him down? Have I brought her down? Have I gone up? The parliament is also not safe.
Thank you.
Sector which is
I will read these messages.
Even the recruitment policy
The recruitment policy.
of teachers themselves. If a teacher buys his way out to become a teacher, first of all, he has qualified as a teacher, but being enrolled as a government teacher, he needs to buy out through the public service, I mean the Education Service Commission, through the District Service Commission. We've seen it everywhere. So that type of rot in recruitment, a teacher who has paid 4 million shillings to become a teacher.
Ratio, honorable, yet the ratio, by the way, of teacher to students
Yeah,
in
it
our
is still
in
very
our
low.
is still very low.
Very low.
Why?
Very low.
I understand now. It is a multiplicity of factors that actually presenting this issue of exam malpractices
Yes.
and cheating.
That's why
It's
it
not
needs,
only.
it needs almost a white paper in regard to this particular
We have
aspect.
already
We need
the white papers we have had.
Yes.
Every white paper in Makerere,
Okay.
they have been lying idle.
there must
They have
be,
never been
there must
implemented.
be a
Yes.
paradigm shift, and we should all shift and focus
Okay.
on
I think
that.
we must urge the government to come out very clearly and address this issue.
Let them appoint me Minister of Education.
You are here.
Because
Yes.
this problem
I
has
have
been,
the requisite academic papers and experience.
Yeah.
They will see what I will do.
Okay. Haji.
the products of this have spread all over in all sectors of government.
Yes.
When you go to judiciary, when you go to each sector has got something from as a result of
Yes, as a result of this exam malpractice and
yes.
cheating,
Exactly.
bribing our ways through the ranks and.
Yeah.
Good morning, Apollo and the panel. I am happy to see Dr. Rugalama back on the show. I want to entirely agree with Dr. Daniel in applauding the UPD officers for the cordial relationship with the civilians, but also we need to know that this kind of relationship with civilians by armed men generally has made the people in Uganda to think since then lose the respect of these men. And to my advice, the public, is that we need to know these are people trained to kill, therefore we should not provoke them, however much the law checks them. Apollo and the panel, if you are slapped or provoked by your friend, don't you respond? Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Akampumuza Abel Keru. It's a long message, but we've picked the real, the core at the message. The message at the core. Let me encourage you viewers, go to 0701 609906, send your comment or observation on the topics we are discussing in the studios, and we will be really pleased to read them out. Comrade Baguma is watching.
Oh,
And he says, hello, Apollo, watching you from Cape Town. Hey, he's in South Africa. I agree with Honorable Mugore. By the way, he's looking fresh like a real Mugore.
Is that the meaning?
And he says, I agree, the absolute determination of performance on just one test, otherwise called an exam, and the disgusting commercialization of exam points contribute greatly to this max malaise. Thank you so much, Richard. You'll be returning to the big show anytime, and we wish you a safe stay. Out there, okay, messages coming in, but most of them are appreciative of what we are doing. And we will switch gears and look at the big topic, because and finally, from you gentlemen, have we pointed out who or where we can start from to end this. Honorable Mugore, you've talked about a cabinet white paper.
We have talked of a parliamentary committee
Yes,
on education that should, first of all, how Parliament can do is there is already a crisis, a brouhaha in regard to these paper, cash, whatever. So Parliament has the right to go in immediately to investigate that matter. And it can start from that in order to come up with a resolution of Parliament which will request Cabinet to come up with something.
Okay.
Then later it comes back to Parliament for approval. But there must be a committee to handle it. I've been a guest lecturer at Ndeje University sometime in the subject of industrial relations. So being a guest lecturer, you don't set exams. I didn't, maybe because of my resoluteness, nobody approached me to say whether he needs assistance in this or that. But they asked me during that time when I was a guest lecturer, at least to set certain examination, which I send to the powers that be, and I sometimes find the exam, it is what I have set. Well, nobody can approach me, I think. Whereas I'm very approachable on other things, on ethics and integrity, I cannot do such a thing.
Thank you. I think you are the people we want in this system. Let's look at this advisory, business advisory that was issued this week by the U.S. government and its consequences. To our detriment, we only have a few minutes to handle it.
This is the bigger thing.
And it is huge, but let me pick out few statements that can guide our discussion. And the U.S. Department of State, I'm reading from the statement. State, Labor, Health and Human Services, Commerce, and the U.S. Agency for International Development are issuing this advisory to inform U.S. businesses, individuals, and other U.S. persons, including health service providers, members of academic institutions, and investors collectively, and those who are even contemplating conducting businesses in Uganda. Okay? And it goes on and said businesses, organizations, and individuals should be aware of potential financial and reputational risks resulting from endemic corruption described in more detail. Okay, there is somewhere he goes on to it goes on to talk about as well as violence against human rights activists, media members, health workers, members of the minority groups, LGBTQI persons, and political opponents. Now it goes on because I cannot read it all, but I think all of you I have shared it. You can. I don't need to waste time. Let me start with you, Doctor. I know you're really itching to.
But the truth of the matter, this is not the first time that the American government has.
American government is telling its citizens not to invest in Uganda and friends.
American government has said so much about Uganda, has said so much about Africa, and probably we have said very little about America. The advisory is a misplaced document.
Misplaced?
Yes, it is a redundant and very useless piece of paper because I do not find it in the present circumstances that if Uganda, America which purports to believe in democracy, went into the consultation and the parliamentarians came and enacted the law against homosexuals, that we abused the so-called human rights. Because I have been trying to look at all the international protocols, the laws of Uganda and beyond, and I have failed to see where the government of Uganda and our parliament broke any law. Certainly, I know that we are not impeccable as a government and as a people. I'm aware that here and there we have got some people, for instance, who are arrested and I have said this at Success FM, and the way they are arrested also leaves a lot to be desired. We have got others who are in prison and they are not supposed to be in prison, and others that the government cannot easily account for. That is not where we want to be. Actually, one was threatening. He said, now, comrade, with that kind of talk, will the government of Uganda give you a job? I was like, no, please. They actually need me. They need people like me to look at your in-house and say, no, our father, my elder brother, this is wrong. And the moment, and I've said this here before, Apollo, if you remember, I said what we want in the NRM government are cadres who are upright in terms of ideology and who reprimand each other internally and say, here we are giving opportunity.
If I may ask you, Dr. Daniel Rugalama, the issues highlighted in the U.S. Business Advisory, are they really existent in Uganda or not?
This is what I was saying.
Corruption, endemic corruption, human rights violations.
If by the way, any government is
bribery,
endemically corrupt, it is the American government. And I'm not saying that because American government is endemically corrupt, therefore it gives us the leeway also to be corrupt. I'm only saying that it would be very unfortunate for a cooking pot to tell a kettle that you are dark. You see, but anyway, point I'm making here, finally, probably, given
because
the
wait a minute, they highlight the highlight is that the business environment in Uganda is not good.
We have been cooperating with the American government. When General Kari Kiura was the IGP, he was cooperating with the American government and they were doing some security stuff together. No sooner had he concluded than they indicted him and gave him that ban. Up to now, I think he's still battling that. The American government, therefore, their endemic corruption is institutionalized.
Okay.
And you need to have bigger and deeper lenses for you to see that even what they are doing is nothing but an elongation and characteristic of an arrogant system that American government.
So you say, well, we have our issue, we have our problems, but they lack the moral authority to speak about these problems.
They do not only have the moral authority,
Honorable,
the businesses they are talking about. Okay, let them take away their business.
Okay, Honorable, listen to this. They continue to say there is heightened risk of all prospective businesses and investors. There are risks associated with interference in and intimidation of the judiciary, use of influence in the courts to resolve political disputes, and co-opted security forces, inconsistently implemented legislation, rent-seeking from officials, and intrusive government security and surveillance likewise can adversely impact the ability of U.S. businesses and individuals to operate.
That's a lie. Our judiciary is
Start
one
from
of the
there.
best.
First of all, Brother Apollo and colleagues, and the country, that advisory is unfortunate.
Unfortunate.
Yes.
That advisory is unfortunate. More so at the backdrop that this very week, Uganda regained its full membership at the United Nations World Tourism Organization. In a minute, and which I would request that we should have a whole topic on being a member of the United Nations World Tourism Organization. Something I have been involved, I have represented Africa to using ILO, through the ILO, selected in 2017 to be part of the delegation of the United Nations World Tourism Organization, representing the entire Africa, the workers sector. But after that, very good news, America comes up with this advisory. Whereas America does not have many businesses in Uganda, it has many friends who have businesses in Uganda. And if the advisory is even to advise its friends and allies to do business with Uganda cautiously, it is unfortunate. And as Parliament, I'm not speaking as the Speaker, we shall, within our own means, look at how we work with the executive. First of all, to stay put of that advisory, number one. Number two, to advise America that it is not proper for them, superpower as they may be, to think that it is only that what serves them that we should cooperate in.
Oh.
That is like for security. Uganda is the backbone for America in the stabilization of the security situations in Africa here. So as we are working well there, you don't say we are corrupt, we are fighting. I mean, we have and human rights practices. You say Uganda is upbeat. These people are doing a great job. And when it comes to an issue, which is bringing up all this is the LGBTQ
It is
thing.
the Anti-Homosexuality
Yes,
Act.
there's nothing
It has
much.
been cited
Yes.
more often in this
More often.
particular.
And to show, even World Bank was saying that the other way to do any other contract, which they will do with Uganda, they will make sure that there is a connotation on the issue of LGBTQ, that whatever we are doing with them, even if they are to give us the money, we should agree that their people who will be working on these projects shall not be persecuted because of this LGBTQ question.
But Honorable, are you suggesting this is the advisory is not about endemic corruption? It's not about human rights violations they are talking about. There are other underlying issues.
No, but
As an-
Wait a minute,
but
it is his floor.
It is his floor.
as an
Information
expert.
I'm giving
Okay, you give that.
is an MP. Information I'm giving, they have cited there that our judiciary is questionable. America has money. Let them use their money. They corrupt our judiciary. It is corruptible, so that the matter, the homosexual matter, is in court, so that they are given judgment.
Okay.
Thank you. As somebody who is an expert in industrial relations, I know that there is an igniter of any situation. Whereas there could, because even ourselves we know, the president, the government, everywhere, we are talking about the corruption within the country. And we say we shall fight it. And we are fighting using various, only that the culture has been damaged. But we are fighting the issue of corruption. So they are not wrong to say there is corruption.
Endemic corruption.
Yes, but that was not the issue. The igniter is about the LGBTQ question.
Yeah.
That's not the igniter. And to see that Uganda, we are standing strong about it, not only the parliament,
Yeah. Yeah.
but every across sector. The people I'm having here, they are not parliamentarians at the moment.
Yeah.
But
We shall be like.
it will be, yeah. My brother here, we were campaigning for him. Recently, just failed by Whisker to go to Ayala. So I know that all of us here are MP materials, but whether somebody is in parliament or not, every Ugandan is in support of the law that we passed.
Okay.
And America fighting using this advisory. If it is about...
I can hear you speaking like President Museveni this week. He also said, you can't come and tell me how I should do this and this in my own home. And does that help us anyway? Because, Honorable, what I look beyond this advisory is either our economy suffering because it is already crippling,
Yes,
suffering more because you said the US, much as it doesn't have direct investment in this country, but they have friends and allies.
Cuba has been under economic embargo for the last 60 years.
So you want us to go the Cuba way?
Wait a minute. It has got the best health system in the world. Life expectancy is the highest, even bigger than that one of America and Japan. Have they died?
Okay, let me read these comments and I bring in Haji. I'm sorry I cut you. So, good morning, gentlemen. Thanks for the wonderful show. What a risk. Okay, they are still commenting on the video. What a risk those guys took disarming uniformed soldiers. I suspect that those guys should be either from CMI or flying squad. Otherwise, no civilian can risk to that level. Please, as a piece of advice, let's respect ladies and gentlemen in uniform for God's sake. On Cash for Max, it's all about integrity, fear of God, and personal respect. I would recommend such lecturers, teachers who participate in such habits should be reprimanded, blacklisted, and banned from holding any public or private education institution because people have failed to listen or learn. On the advisory statement of the USA, I have only one advice for them. When one day they realize that if you mind your own business, trust me, you will live longer. Sometimes they will close one eye on other issues and open up on others. They should be partial. They should be partial in everything if they want. Otherwise, we are an independent state. Let them live. Unless, leave us alone, we shall handle ourselves one day, God willing. Otim, Major Joel, thank you so much for this observation, and we treasure your contributions to this dialogue. I think that the weakness on the punishment regarding corruption is causing much problems in this country. He talks about implementation of the corruption punishments in corruption-related matters. The implementation is weak. And you didn't give us your name. Let me check your profile. Owoli Lawrence, thank you so much. We've received your message. And we are winding up, gentlemen and ladies out there. And 1-2 messages here, and we close. Ampumza Abel, if I was the president, I would appoint Dr. Rugarama Minister of Education. Oh. Good luck. Haji Katerega, the advisor is out.
Uganda should not spend sleepless over this advisor.
Really?
Yeah.
This is the United States of America.
And if there is anything I admire about American their government, the way how they promote their interests and get their interest. This advisory note they have issued, they are just trying to promote their interests. There's nothing we learn from the Americans. If it is violence, America is number one. If it is security, just last week, 22 were killed.
A shooter
killed. So they cannot teach us anything about security, violence, corruption. The first family in America is under investigation.
Oh.
In Congress, yes.
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. His son. So
Trump
there's nothing they are telling us. So we should do, as Ugandans.
But let me ask you, Haj. Are the issues being raised in the advisory not real here? Aren't we seeing endemic corruption in this country?
Corruption is there, but you can deal with it ourselves.
A corrupt justice system, a harsh business environment where people can thrive in one day the business and the competition is unfair. They are all highlighted in the statement.
I don't know whether you have been following President Donald Trump. The outburst he has made about the judiciary and in America. That also indicates that there are some problems in their system.
Serious one.
Okay, so for me, as a Ugandan, who think that we must be independent, we as the Ugandan must come together, dialogue, and see and craft out a better Uganda, but not depending on the Americans. They are up in arms because of the LGBT, which is alien to our culture. Okay, and we are not about to change. Even if they bribe the judiciary, as one member has suggested to them, for us as Ugandans, we shall not follow. And we shall keep demanding our government to enact a law which keeps the gays and others out
Even if
of
they
our
are
system.
married, we shall go tell the Honorable Mugores to go and enact another one.
But Haji Katerega,
Yes.
aren't these things that have been raised, issues that have been raised, hurting our economy, like corruption, poor investment environment, bad investment environment, and they hurting us? And in any way, won't this advisory even hurt us more?
It is hurting our economy, and in one way we are hurting ourselves. When we feel the pinch, we shall come together and sit and get.
And when is that time?
That time will come.
This is a blessing in disguise.
That time will come. The Hamas, the Palestinians have been under siege for over 50 years. But you see what happened on 7th October. They invaded Israel through the air, water, and land. Who have ever imagined that such can happen from Palestine?
And that so-called
Yes.
non-corrupt America
Yes.
is the one which is backing the
Israelis
Israelis
to
to
finish
commit human
It's
rights
abuses.
abuses.
What have they talked
So the more you
against
suffer,
Israel?
Let him conclude.
so if we get more challenges, we shall be provoked
Okay.
to get a better solution to our country.
That's true.
Well, thank you so much, comrades in the studio, and thank you so much, our viewers. We are running out of time. I'll give a round of one last shot as we conclude this show. And let me start with you, Comrade Rugarama. Your parting shot in just 1.5 minutes.
Thank you so much. Dear comrades, I thank you so much, members I'm with here in the studio, and you, the moderator, management of Salt TV. I thank the viewers, and I'm looking forward to the next engagement. I'm always happy to be part of this beautiful team.
Thank you. Honorable.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Apollo. Just one of the most important things that has happened to this country is regaining its full membership to the United Nations World Tourism Organization. With its attendant advantages that will come, most especially in our tourism sector, which earns this country a GDP of 7.8 and employable percentage of 6.8. It is doing well, it is blossoming, and that will help.
With the shortcomings like the
With the
terrorist attack.
shortcoming, whatever those ones, but we shall grow, and whatever America is doing in regard to those advisories, from the 1.5 million tourists we get in this country, we have a minimal number that comes from America.
Why would we want to minimize
so for as
the
far as
benefits that we get
we get
from,
enormous.
Yes, even
get
the
enormous-
education sector, the health sector,
we get
the
enormous
defense
business.
sector is supported by Americans.
We
Get enormous.
Even education and
they are the
defense.
ones who create the diseases and they pretend
We get enormous assistance from America, more especially in the health sector, and you cannot survive without having a healthy environment. And these people have supported us on HIV, they have supported us on malaria. We applaud them for that. We don't agree with them though on the advisory, because the advisory is really unnecessary, unwarranted, and coming at the backdrop of no real reason apart from the issue of LGBTQ. Whereas we have these others, the corruption tendencies, and what we are trying to do everything. We've just passed a law, the Competition Act,
The time.
to agree on how we shall handle the
time
competition.
is
We are coming to
bit
the
against
consumer
us.
protection. So all this, Uganda is doing its best to ensure that we handle our own issues. So I will thank colleagues.
Good.
I think this has been a wonderful debate.
Wow. Haji Katerega, your parting shot.
My last one is about the malpractices in education. I think as a country, as government, we must come out to promote ethical values and integrity, and maybe incorporate ethics and integrity in the new curriculum.
Actually, where is our Ministry of Ethics? How is it progressing in its, on its mandate? The Ministry of Ethics and Integrity.
I agree with you.
There should
must
be some
ethics and
evaluation.
Yes. On the issue of ethics and integrity as a syllabus,
We should write to the American
That will be another topic. Let him give us his parting shot and
They
we
have
go.
an advisor against Israel.
on human rights.
Okay, that's my last.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me here.
Good.
And I thank the viewers for taking off their time to watch this debate.
Thank you so much, the panel, Haj Katerega Mohammed, the Secretary General for the Opposition Justice Forum. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much, Stephen Mgore, the comrade who is always available for this show, and Comrade Rugarama. It's a pleasure having you back again.
Thank you, sir.
And viewers, thank you so much for your time and these observations that keep coming in. Let's catch up next Saturday. God bless you. God bless Uganda. Good afternoon.